They are stealing your life force, every single day, in ways so subtle you barely notice until it is too late. You wake up already tired. You walk into a room and feel the weight of unseen eyes. You listen to a friend's endless complaints and feel yourself sinking. By the end of the day, you collapse into bed wondering where your energy went, as if it evaporated into the air. But it did not vanish. It was taken. This theft does not require weapons or chains. It requires only your silence, your kindness, your willingness to carry burdens that are not yours. Jung knew this better than anyone. He said that when people refuse to face their own inner shadows, they project them outward. They look for others to hold what they cannot bear. And if you are open, empathic, generous, you will become their vessel. You will carry their pain, their anger, their envy, while they walk away lighter and you walk away heavier. Think of the last time you felt inexplicably drained after spending time with someone. Perhaps a friend who only calls when they need to unload their problems, leaving you anxious while they feel relieved. Or a family member who uses guilt to bind you to endless obligations. Or a partner who masks their insecurity with constant demands for reassurance, consuming your attention until nothing is left for yourself. These are not isolated moments. They are patterns of energy theft. Jung called the human psyche a battlefield of light and shadow. The conscious self shines like a fragile flame, while the unconscious shadow lurks in darkness, hungry for expression. When individuals deny their shadow, they do not destroy it. They merely drive it underground, where it festers and demands release. But since they cannot face it within, they look for someone else to absorb it. And if you have not faced your own shadow, you become vulnerable. You absorb their projections without resistance. You take on their darkness as if it were your own. And slowly, your life force collapses. You may think of life force as some vague spiritual idea, but it is not. It is the raw vitality that animates you, the invisible current that powers your thoughts, emotions, creativity, and relationships. Without it, you feel hollow, like a machine running on fumes. With it, you feel alive, radiant, unshakable. Jung saw that energy was not just physical stamina but psychic fuel. And this psychic fuel is constantly being exchanged, traded, or stolen in every human interaction. When you smile at a stranger, you give energy. When you listen to a friend's story, you give energy. When you argue, when you work, when you even silently worry, you are giving energy. The question is never whether you are giving, but where it is going and whether it nourishes or depletes you. The tragedy is that most of us never ask this question. We keep pouring ourselves out, thinking this is love, this is duty, this is strength. But what it often is, in truth, is unconscious sacrifice. It is becoming prey for the shadows of others. Society encourages this theft. From childhood, you were taught to be good, to be polite, to put others first, to smile even when you hurt, to forgive even when you are betrayed. You were never taught that your energy is sacred, that it is finite, that it is life itself. So you gave and gave, proud of your kindness, proud of your endurance, while secretly you felt empty, unseen, invisible. And the more you gave, the more people expected, until giving was no longer generosity, but survival. Imagine a candle burning in the dark. At first, its flame is strong, steady, illuminating the room. But as the hours pass, the wax melts, the flame flickers, and the candle weakens. If no one tends it, it will burn out completely. Your life force is that flame. Every demand, every manipulation, every act of unconscious giving melts your wax. And unlike a candle, your flame is not easily replaced. When it burns out, you lose not just strength, but purpose, joy, and meaning. Jung's warning was clear. When you live without awareness, you are not living your life. You are living as fuel for others. He saw that many relationships are not true connections, but unconscious feeding grounds. People avoid their own souls, so they seek vitality outside themselves. They may not call it theft. They may not even know they are doing it. But the result is the same. Your flame weakens as theirs grows. Think of the colleague who interrupts your focus with endless gossip, stealing not just your time, but your mental clarity. The family member who expects you to always be available, no matter how much it costs you. The partner who manipulates through silence until you break and give them what they want. Each of these interactions seems small, almost invisible. But repeated day after day, they carve deep wounds into your spirit. You begin to lose yourself. You no longer know what you truly want because you are so busy carrying the wants of others. You no longer know how you truly feel because you are flooded with their emotions. You no longer know who you are because your identity has become service, sacrifice, and survival. This is the hidden cost of energy theft, the erosion of the self. Jung believed the path to freedom lay in individuation, the process of becoming whole, of reclaiming every fragment of the psyche and uniting them into one authentic self. But individuation cannot begin if your energy is scattered across the demands of others. To individuate, you must reclaim your life force. You must close the leaks, face the shadow, and take back what was always yours. This is not easy. It requires the courage to see, to admit that many of the relationships you cherish may be built on imbalance, to accept that those you love may not truly love you, but rather love the energy you provide, to recognize that your kindness has often been exploited, that your openness has made you prey. These truths cut deep, but until you face them, nothing changes. And here is where Jung's words sting. People will do anything to avoid facing their own souls. That includes you. You may resist these truths, deny them, tell yourself it is not so bad, but deep inside, you know. You know because your body has told you 1,000 times, through fatigue, through tension, through the sense of drowning in invisible waves. You know because your dreams have whispered it, in images of being chased, consumed or drained. The unconscious never hides the truth. It simply waits for you to see it. So ask yourself, where is my energy going? Who feels lighter after being with me, while I feel heavier? Whose shadow am I carrying as if it were my own? Who smiles while I collapse? These questions are not comfortable, but they are necessary. For the first step to protecting your energy is not building walls or chanting affirmations. It is awareness. It is daring to see the theft clearly. Because once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you admit the truth, you cannot go back to sleep. The thieves may still circle you, but you will recognize their tactics. You will see guilt for what it is, a leash. You will see silence for what it is. Manipulation. You will see endless neediness for what it is, a bottomless pit that can never be filled. And when you see, you begin to choose. You begin to pull your energy back. You begin to close the gates of your fortress. This is only the beginning. Jung would tell you that knowing the shadow exists is not the same as integrating it, but it is the doorway. And once you step through, everything changes. In the next part, we will uncover the hidden mechanics of energy theft, the precise ways others drain your life force, and how your own unconscious patterns make you complicit. Because until you see not just that the theft exists, but how it works, you cannot defend against it. And once you know how it works, you will never be the same again. Now that you see the truth, that your life force is being drained, the question becomes, how does it actually happen? How is it that others, often without conscious malice, manage to leave you exhausted, fragmented and hollow, while they walk away lighter, freer, even stronger? Jung's answer was clear. Through the unconscious, through projection, and through the subtle dynamics that govern every human relationship. Energy theft is rarely loud. It is rarely obvious. It hides in the quiet moments, in the things unsaid, in the weight you feel without explanation. To understand it, we must step into the shadows of psychology, into the places Jung warned us about, where the unconscious rules when we are not awake. The first mechanism is projection. Jung wrote that what we deny in ourselves, we inevitably project onto others. If someone cannot accept their own anger, they will see anger in you. If they cannot admit their own weakness, they will treat you as weak. If they cannot face their own envy, they will accuse you of envy. Each projection is not just a distortion of reality, it is an attempt to hand you their shadow. They unload it onto you, and you carry it. Their unconscious becomes your burden. Imagine a person who has never admitted their own selfishness. They live convinced they are endlessly generous, endlessly giving. Yet deep inside, their selfishness festers, demanding release. They cannot see it, so they project it. They accuse you of being selfish. They guilt you for not giving enough. They take your generosity and twist it until you feel like a failure for not doing more. And all the while, they are blind to their own truth. But you carry the weight. You carry the accusation. You carry their shadow. That is energy theft. Projection is powerful because it bypasses logic. You feel it in your body. When someone accuses you falsely, your instinct is to defend, to explain, to justify. And in that defense, you spend energy. You bleed vitality trying to prove yourself innocent of something that was never yours to begin with. This is how projection drains you. Not through truth, but through reaction. They throw their darkness onto you, and you burn your life force, trying to wash it off. The second mechanism is guilt. Guilt is perhaps the most effective leash in the human psyche. From childhood, you were conditioned to feel guilty whenever you displeased authority, whenever you failed to meet expectations. And so guilt became a reflex. Others learned this, consciously or unconsciously, and they used it. A simple sigh, a disappointed look, a quiet withdrawal, and instantly you feel the weight. Instantly you feel responsible. Instantly you bend. Jung would say guilt is often a mask for manipulation. True guilt arises when we violate our own values. False guilt arises when we fail to meet the inflated demands of others. And it is false guilt that drains you most. It convinces you that saying no makes you cruel, that resting makes you lazy, that protecting your energy makes you selfish. Under its weight, you surrender your life force willingly, offering it up to avoid the discomfort of being judged. But every time you do, you carve another hole in your soul. The third mechanism is silence. Not the healing silence of solitude, but the weaponized silence of manipulation. Perhaps you know this tactic. Someone withdraws their warmth, their attention, their presence, until you feel anxious, desperate, ready to do anything to restore the connection. Their silence becomes a vacuum, and into that vacuum you pour your energy. You apologize even when you are not wrong. You overgive, over-explain, overperform, just to break the silence. And when you succeed, they return, lighter, relieved, while you are left drained. This is a form of psychological hunger. Jung said that the unconscious, when denied, seeks energy in primitive ways. Silence is one of them. It forces you to feed them with your vitality. It makes you work for the illusion of harmony. But harmony built on silence is not harmony. It is bondage. The fourth mechanism is neediness disguised as love. Have you ever felt suffocated by someone's constant need for reassurance, attention, validation? At first, it may feel flattering. They need you. They adore you. But slowly, you realize their hunger is endless. No matter how much you give, it is never enough. Each word, each gesture, each sacrifice only feeds the void inside them. And that void is not yours to fill. It is their shadow, their unhealed wound. But as long as you try, you bleed energy into a black hole. Jung believed that relationships become toxic when they are not built on two whole selves, but on shadow contracts. A shadow contract is an unspoken agreement. I will carry your darkness if you give me belonging. I will sacrifice my energy if you give me attention. These contracts are unconscious, yet they shape countless relationships. They keep you bound, drained, and small, because to break them feels like betrayal. But in truth, staying in them is the greater betrayal, the betrayal of your own soul. The fifth mechanism is conflict as fuel. Some people thrive on chaos. They provoke arguments, create drama, stir division, not because they seek resolution, but because conflict is their way of harvesting energy. Jung said that when the unconscious erupts, it often appears as irrational conflict. These individuals feel alive only when others are agitated, reactive, engaged in their chaos. So they bait you, they push your buttons, they ignite your anger, and as you burn, they feed. They absorb the fire of your reaction while your own energy collapses. The sixth mechanism is dependency through fear. This one is subtle but devastating. Someone convinces you, directly or indirectly, that you cannot survive without them, that you are too weak, too naive, too broken. They weave fear into your psyche until you doubt your own strength, and in that doubt, you cling to them, pouring your energy into the relationship, terrified of being abandoned. They steal not just your vitality, but your freedom. Jung saw this dynamic as the shadow of love. Love twisted into control, care twisted into captivity. All of these mechanisms, projection, guilt, silence, neediness, conflict, fear, have one thing in common: they exploit unconsciousness. They work only because you do not see them clearly. The moment you bring them into awareness, their power weakens. The thief hides in the dark. When the light comes, they scatter. This is why Jung emphasized awareness as the foundation of individuation. To see is to reclaim, but seeing alone is not enough. Because even when you recognize these patterns, you may still comply. You may still carry guilt, still react to projection, still chase silence, still feed neediness. Why? Because the shadow does not only live in others, it lives in you. Your own unconscious fears of rejection, of abandonment, of unworthiness make you complicit in the theft. You hand over your energy because you fear what will happen if you withhold it. This is the bitter truth. Energy theft is not only what others do to you, it is what you allow through your own unconsciousness. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The thieves will continue to feed as long as you continue to offer yourself unconsciously. The leash of guilt will hold as long as you fear judgment. The projection will stick as long as you doubt yourself. The silence will suffocate as long as you cannot sit with discomfort. And so the work deepens. To protect your energy, you must not only see the theft, you must see yourself. You must see why you allow it. Why you fear saying no, why you believe your worth is tied to what you give. This is the terrifying mirror Jung places before you. The shadow is not just outside, it is inside. And only when you face both can you truly protect your life force. In the next part, we will step into that mirror. We will uncover how your own shadow, your fear of rejection, your guilt, your denied anger keeps you vulnerable to energy theft. And we will see how reclaiming these parts of yourself becomes the ultimate protection, because the greatest thief is not always the other. Sometimes it is the part of you still living in the dark. You have seen how others steal your life force. You have seen the projections, the guilt, the silence, the endless hunger disguised as love. But here is the harder truth. They succeed only because part of you allows it. The thief enters not only because they push, but because you open the door, and you open it unconsciously. This is not about blame. This is about shadow. Jung taught that the shadow is everything about yourself that you refuse to face. Every anger you deny, every selfish thought you bury, every need you silence. When you push these parts away, they do not disappear. They slip underground into the unconscious, and from there, they rule you. They whisper, they distort. They shape your choices without your awareness, and in that state, you become vulnerable. You give away your life force not because you want to, but because your shadow demands it. Think of the anger you have swallowed over the years. The times you wanted to say no but smiled instead. The times you wanted to walk away but stayed silent. The times you felt used but told yourself it was love. Where did that anger go? It did not vanish. It sank into the shadow, and once there, it became weakness. Because the anger you refuse to feel becomes the boundary you cannot set. The boundary you cannot set becomes the opening through which others feed. Jung would tell you, the shadow you deny becomes the thief's accomplice. Consider this: when someone projects onto you, accusing you of selfishness, why does it hurt? Why does it stick? Because part of you fears it might be true. You have denied your right to be selfish, to take for yourself, to say, I matter, and so the accusation pierces like a blade. You scramble to prove them wrong, giving even more, draining yourself further. But if you had integrated your selfishness, if you had said, yes, I can be selfish, and that is human, and that is sometimes necessary, the projection would bounce off. You would not react. You would not bleed energy. The thief would leave empty-handed. This is the paradox. The parts of yourself you most fear are the very parts that can protect you. The anger you repress could defend you. The selfishness you bury could preserve you. The solitude you avoid could restore you. But as long as you deny them, they remain in the shadow, and the shadow conspires with those who drain you. The persona is another accomplice. Jung described the persona as the mask you wear to fit into society. We all need it. It allows us to play roles: worker, friend, partner, citizen. But when the persona becomes your only self, you are trapped. You live as the good one, the kind one, the agreeable one. You become addicted to approval, terrified of rejection, and so you give and give, not out of love, but out of fear that the mask will crack. Ask yourself, how often do you say yes when every fiber of your being screams no? How often do you smile while something in you dies? How often do you play the role of helper, peacemaker, caretaker, while inside you are collapsing? This is the tyranny of the persona. It steals your energy, not because others demand it, but because you are desperate to uphold the mask, and behind that mask, your true self suffocates. Then there is the anima and animus, the inner feminine and masculine energies Jung described. When unbalanced, they create dependency. If you have denied your inner masculine strength, you may seek protection in others, clinging, pouring energy into them because you fear standing alone. If you have denied your inner feminine receptivity, you may overgive, flooding others with energy while starving yourself. Each denial becomes a fracture. Each fracture becomes an opening, and through these openings, your life force seeps away. But perhaps the deepest accomplice of all is fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of rejection, fear of being unloved. These fears live in the unconscious like ancient ghosts. They whisper in every decision: give, or you will be left. Agree, or you will be alone. Carry them, or they will stop loving you. And so you obey. You betray yourself to avoid the terror of loss. But in truth, you lose yourself either way. Jung taught that individuation, the process of becoming whole, requires walking into this fear. You must face the abandonment, the rejection, the loneliness. You must discover that you can survive them, that you are stronger than you were told, that your life force does not depend on others' approval, but on your own authenticity. Here is where the transformation begins, by turning toward the shadow instead of running from it. When you admit, Yes, I can be selfish. Yes, I can be angry. Yes, I need space. Yes, I fear rejection. You reclaim your power. What was once hidden becomes conscious. What was once weakness becomes strength. The thief can no longer exploit what you have already embraced. Think of it like a fortress. The cracks in the wall are your denied parts. The thief enters through those cracks. But when you repair them, not by sealing them in shame, but by owning them, the wall becomes whole. The fortress stands. The thief turns away. But this is not a one-time act. It is a practice. Each day, you must notice where your energy leaks. Each time you feel drained, ask, what part of me allowed this? What fear, what mask, what denial opened the door? This question is not self-blame, it is self-revelation, and each answer pulls a piece of your life force back into your hands. Yet do not be deceived. The shadow resists. It does not want to be seen. It will tell you lies. It will tell you, if you get angry, you will be unloved. It will tell you, if you say no, you will be abandoned. It will tell you, if you stop giving, you will be worthless. These are not truths. They are the chains of the unconscious. The only way to break them is to test them, to say no and see who remains, to express anger and see who respects you, to stop giving and see who values you beyond what you provide. And when you do, the world shifts. Some people will leave. Let them. Their love was not love. It was hunger. Others will stay, stronger, truer, more balanced. These are your people. These are the ones who do not harvest your energy but share theirs. With them, you can build a life not of theft but of reciprocity. This is the path Jung laid before us, to integrate the shadow, to balance the anima and animus, to remove the mask of the persona, to walk into fear until it loses its power. Each step is a reclamation of life force. Each step makes you less prey, more sovereign. But we are not yet finished, because even as you integrate, the thieves remain. The world is still full of unconsciousness, and awareness alone is not protection. You must now learn to guard your life force actively, to establish practices and rituals that make theft impossible, to live not just awake, but sovereign. In the final part, we will step into this sovereignty. We will learn how to protect your energy permanently, how to reclaim every thread of life force, and how to live not as prey, but as creator. This is the transformation Jung pointed to: individuation, authenticity, freedom. And once you reach it, you will never again fear the thieves. You have faced the truth. You have seen how others steal your life force, and you have seen how your own shadow conspires with them. You have walked through the uneasy corridors of projection, guilt, silence, and fear. Now comes the turning point, the moment when you reclaim everything that was stolen, everything you gave away without knowing, everything you buried in the shadow. This is the moment of individuation, the birth of your true self, the awakening of sovereignty. Jung called individuation the central process of human life, the integration of shadow and light, the union of conscious and unconscious, the becoming of a whole being. Until this happens, you live as fragments, prey to the demands of others, torn between masks and fears. But when it happens, you become untouchable. Your energy no longer leaks into shadows, no longer feeds unconscious thieves. It gathers within you, radiant, magnetic, unshakable. Imagine yourself as a fortress. For years, the gates were wide open, banners of kindness fluttering in the wind, welcoming all. Thieves entered freely, some with smiles, others with tears, all with empty hands. They left heavier, while you grew lighter, dimmer, closer to collapse. But now the gates close, not out of hatred, not out of isolation, but out of reverence for what lies within. The fortress is not a prison, it is protection. And inside it burns a fire that is yours alone. The first shield is awareness. You cannot be tricked once you see the trick. You cannot be drained once you see the drain. Awareness itself is a form of protection. When someone projects onto you, you pause. You recognize, this is not mine. When someone wields guilt, you ask, whose value is being violated, theirs or mine? When silence is used as a weapon, you breathe, you wait, you refuse to rush in to fill the void. Awareness breaks the reflex. It turns reaction into choice. The second shield is boundaries. Boundaries are not walls of cruelty. They are lines of clarity. They say, this is me, that is you. This is my time, that is yours. This is my energy, not your entitlement. Boundaries do not need to be explained endlessly. They need to be lived consistently. A simple no, spoken calmly, is more powerful than 1,000 justifications. The first time you say no, guilt will rise. Let it. It is the ghost of your old conditioning. On the other side of guilt is freedom. The third shield is shadow integration. You protect your energy not by pretending to be pure light, but by embracing your darkness. You say, yes, I can be angry. Yes, I can be selfish. Yes, I can walk away. Yes, I can be cold if I must. These truths do not make you cruel. They make you whole, and wholeness cannot be harvested. The thief thrives on your denial. When you no longer deny, there is nothing to exploit. The shadow becomes your ally, standing guard at the gates. The fourth shield is silence reclaimed. For too long, silence has been used against you. Now you use it for yourself. Each day, withdraw from the noise. Sit in stillness, even for 10 minutes. No screens, no voices, no demands. Just you and the quiet. In silence, you separate what is yours from what is not. In silence, you recharge. Jung believed the unconscious speaks through silence. If you listen, you will hear its wisdom. And with that wisdom, you guard your energy. The fifth shield is ritual. Energy must be tended, like a flame. One ritual is journaling. Each night, write, where did my energy go today? Who drained me? Who nourished me? What thoughts consumed me? Patterns will emerge. And patterns, once seen, can be broken. Another ritual is energy recall. Before sleep, close your eyes. Imagine golden threads extending from your body to everyone you encountered. Some threads shine, others are frayed. One by one, pull them back into your chest. Whisper, I reclaim my energy. It is mine. Watch as your chest glows brighter. This practice is ancient. Its power is real. The sixth shield is alignment. Energy leaks when you live for others' values, when you betray your truth to please, to conform, to survive. To protect your energy, you must align with what is real in you. Ask, what do I truly value? Not what I was told, not what others demand. What burns in me as undeniable? Live that truth. Every compromise bleeds energy. Every alignment restores it. When your life aligns with your soul, energy flows naturally, endlessly. And the seventh shield is sovereignty. Sovereignty is the state of no longer needing others to validate your worth. It is the knowing that your life force belongs only to you. It is the courage to walk alone, if necessary, rather than be consumed in company. It is the refusal to be prey, the refusal to betray yourself for approval. Sovereignty does not isolate you. It attracts those who are also sovereign, those who share energy instead of stealing it. Together, you form circles of reciprocity, not theft. Jung believed that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. That is what protecting your energy ultimately means. It means becoming yourself, whole and unbroken. It means no longer scattering your life force into the shadows of others, but using it to create, to love, to live. Picture yourself now. You walk into a room. Once, you would have felt the pull of others' needs, the silent pressure to give, to bend, to serve. Now, you feel only clarity. You know what is yours and what is not. You give when you choose, not when you are coerced. You listen without absorbing. You love without losing. You stand without wavering. You are rare. You are unforgettable. You are respected, not because you demanded it, but because you became it. And here is the final revelation. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is sacred. For when you are drained, you have nothing to give, but when you are whole, you overflow. Your love is no longer sacrifice, it is abundance. Your presence is no longer survival, it is radiance. Your life is no longer a battlefield of shadows, it is a creation of light. So I ask you now, are you ready to close the gates of your fortress? Are you ready to reclaim every thread of life force you have ever given away unconsciously? Are you ready to live not as prey but as sovereign? If your answer is yes, write it now in the comments. I reclaim my energy. Anchor your choice with words. Claim your sovereignty in public. And remember, this is only the beginning. Subscribe now, because the journey continues. In every video, we expose the shadows, reclaim the light, and walk the path Jung laid before us, the path of individuation, authenticity, and freedom. The harvest is over. Your sovereignty has begun.